do we need to be aware of the programs that we are running that aren't serving us in order to actually unplug from them? And is there a way to accelerate the process and to avoid getting stuck in mental constructs and attaching labels to things?
First part first, huh? Because
Perfect.
because that was very chunked out. That's a big chunk and a big chunk. It would be another good 2 hours we could spend with Donna's question, your 2 questions. 2 hours more. So, yes, in fact, you do, to a certain extent, have to have an awareness of the programs you're running or have been running or have been implanted or that have been there. Now, sometimes when you hit certain points within the program, the point of program can collapse some other parts of the program that not is necessarily to be seen. So sometimes it's just a matter of getting to, I do that behavior. I've been always reacting from a very unconscious place in that behavior action. Wow, I've never seen it that way. Now I see that. That is not something that I participate in happily now. I see. I want not that. And so you begin to collapse that part of the program. There may be other pieces of the program that are attached to that that will collapse with it. So there are, if you can imagine, how should we say that? In some of your sacred geometry, you have sacred geometry pieces where you can see that how each part connects. If you take even the triangle, if there's here and there's here and there's here, if those are points of the program, this is one piece, this is one piece, this is one piece, but those all create more triangles and go back into infinity with your sacred geometry, because sacred geometry is all life. If you were to hit one of those points, it will collapse a few of those other points, but those will also bump into bigger points. If say that comes to another one, but it is a bigger point, you will have to address each one dependent upon how much of a consciousness block it has within the system of your internal experience of the matrix that you are carrying. Now that is a lot, because we will have to break down how it is that you are a part of the living matrix, of the creation of the matrix, but you are also in a matrix creation that is not all completely your own simulated experience. So there are, yes, levels that need to be collapsed and had attention to, and not always will you have to see every single one. So the second part is a little more dicey. How shall we say that? So releasing the ideas around the labels. You can free yourself a bit more from the labels by softening your perspective of judgment. Judgment is what holds ideation and labeling and fixation and separation in place. Judgment does this. So labeling, is it a judgment to say a tree is a tree? Well, the truth is that a tree was given to you as tree. Yes, you were told a tree is tree, but when you stand back and you perceive, as we have said so many years in a row, we have said to many of our human friends, please stop, take in the wisdom that is called tree. The tree is magnificence and majesty and power and grace and carrying life force of concentration, of consciousness. And people are labeling it just a tree. You have been given the identifications to things which keep you separated from things, which keep you separated from the great mystery that is unfolding, that you are creating as unfolding. So this is a part of your own unwinding, and we are pointing some of the way. Can you step back and release some of your judgments and strangleholds on ideations of what is in this world or in this life or in this experience, and instead step back in a neutral kind of position? It is where we stand, in neutrality. If you stand back in neutrality and you are in awe and as the observer taken in by what it is that is perceiving what it is you are experiencing as in this world called tree. Let go of tree and see the being that is there. So some of that may help. The question, we will say, is very complex, more thick than just a one-shot answer. So will you read it to us again, or say it, or you did not write it? Could you say it again?
I can. Both parts?
The second part, preferably.
The second part, is there a way to accelerate the process and avoid getting stuck in mental constructs?
The first part of that is the first part of the first question. It is to see that you are doing it, to see that you are in a mental construct of labeling anything, and then to pull yourself back from it and say, how do I stand here in neutrality to this experience, what seems to be something outside of myself I am labeling as either good or bad, a paradigm of experience within myself that I am saying is good or bad, right or wrong, a label. Oh, I am identified as this person, this way, this behavior. And as I identify myself to this behavior, oh, I am a bad person, or I'm a good person. Oh, I am a righteous person. Oh, I am a overeater. I am an alcoholic. I am a codependent. All these things that we know that you have these conversations with us about. These are identifiers that hold you to that matrix of belief of your smallness, of your littleness. If you step back, and we're not saying deny, but if you can step back and say, is that the I am that I am? Is this the presence of the concentration of the consciousness that is moving through this body consciousness? How you accelerate it is you realize that as your own attachment to it that permeates the field of your own amplification of it. To release it is to release by way of not identifying with it, seeing yourself as the wholeness. And yes, in part, contradictorily sounding, we know this is going to sound contradictory, that you also at the same time embrace it. There is an embracing that is necessary for all aspects of your being so that whatever it is that is not that which you are can melt through and off. So there is an acceptance, there is a surrender, there is a releasing, there is an opening, there is a way, there are all these ways, and you say, give me a way to, thank you, give me a way to expand my own ability to see that I am not these things. We say to you, this is some of the ways. We know that is a lot of complication, it seems. We are going to consider this question and the three of those questions. We like them very much. And we'd like to be having a bit of a conversation on that again at some time.